Again, welcome. Sorry about the difficulties. Appreciate you guys sticking around, waiting in the chat while I was getting that going. Hello, CloudX. Thank you, Yan, for popping in. Again, just to remind you all, Yan will be here in the chat to field any questions that are directed towards him. So we're doing this discussion here primarily to focus on the current testnet, discuss with those that are interacting with it, that have registered, have already uploaded NFTs, get their questions, get their current experience as we keep working through testnet. But it's been super exciting to participate along with all of you with this. So huge shout out to all the help that Yan gives and Barry, the lead developers behind everything that is currently being pushed into testnet. So again, huge shout out to them, and I appreciate you guys that are involved and those that are sticking around to ask questions, learning about these huge changes. Because as we mentioned before, this is a massive update for PAC protocol. It's a massive update that changes the overall ability of what this network is capable of, not only of everything that it already has up to this point with the master nodes and the quick transactions and just the overall scale of the node network expanding, but adding in new use cases to where you can now mint NFTs onto the network, you can create your own token supply, et cetera, et cetera. So as we push through this testnet, again, we appreciate all your guys' efforts in helping us find bugs so that we can resolve them before we push to mainnet. But again, it's a huge milestone for us, so we're just nothing but excited to keep working through this. I see one question here. I do see that we're not going to be talking about exchanges because that's something that we're not going to focus on right here in this discussion. I'll answer this one, but I'm just saying moving forward on this one, can we please refrain from the exchange questions? A year ago, the PAC team announced the top 10 exchanges listing. Contracts were signed, etc. So I'm interested in whether KuCoin had canceled the contract completely, or I'm confused of if why there is a like an absolute, understanding that that was the particular exchange in question. There were multiple exchanges that we actually pursued and have continued to pursue. But as if everyone should know this, over the last 2 years, there's been a lot of different things that have impacted markets, including a worldwide pandemic that's lasted for nearly 2 years, if not longer. So, there's different opportunities that arise. And unfortunately, in the middle of some contracts being already deemed as, yes, we're going to move forward, just expecting payment to be listed onto a certain exchange. When we were in the process of acquiring the budget for said exchanges, their listing, some of the exchanges listings standards changed because they had to keep up with what was happening in the market due to the pandemic, et cetera, and also different regulatory things that were impacting different countries. So as exchanges go, we've mentioned this many times. We are now in our 18th seminar, and I know I've had to answer questions in probably every single one that it comes to an exchange. So again, when it comes to exchanges, it's not something that is just okay, you just pay money. Yes, there's a majority of the time a listing fee to do that. A lot of people, when we as a PAC team announced that we are going after exchanges doing this, all the expectation on who is going to pay for that is obviously on myself and the PAC team and everyone that is hearing what we're pursuing. So we have to be responsible for that, for making sure that the funds are there in the ways that we are able to fund our project privately. Our LLC is privately funded, so that goes also towards the different ways that we want to try and impact PAC protocol in a not direct way, but at least being able to provide resources to build out different products that are going to be released on this network, such as yanSAFE, PAC app, et cetera, et cetera. All of those are products that have costs behind them, and so exchanges are no different. That's a separate thing where we have to privately make sure that we're able to fund such a listing. And when we get to top exchanges, maybe you may not be super familiar with how this works. But there's also other contingencies that apply to a lot of top exchanges. Not an unfortunate thing, but it can be if your project is not at that pace or at that stage to be able to keep up with those secondary contingencies. And one of those in particular would be how much trading volume is occurring at the time of trying to be a part of a larger exchange. So when these larger exchanges go look and say, okay, with the volume is not meeting the metrics that we require, that's their requirements. It's not a worldwide standard, but each exchange obviously has their own requirements of what projects that they're going to allow to um, be on their exchange. And it's not necessarily meaning allow, it means going through the hassle of installing a new blockchain onto their infrastructure, making sure their security is okay. There's nothing going to impact their exchange. All that costs money on their side too. So the reason why volume on an exchange is important for the exchange itself is that they make their money off of transaction fees, off of your trading fees, off of your deposits and withdrawals, et cetera. Those are the metrics of how an exchange can continue to operate and at a top tier level. So if your project is not at that pace to meet those, certain requirements, then unfortunately you may not be able to list at that time. That doesn't mean that it's a dead in the water, never going to happen again situation. It's one of those where us, as we are a private company, we can't directly influence market activity. That's not something that we ever go to push. We obviously advertise products that we've built for this network. We obviously, try to showcase the different individuals that bring themselves on the PAC protocol, whether as a brand ambassador and or growing into more leadership into the company. These are all things that we obviously push so that people see it, they recognize it, and then they also can see the capabilities of us as a development company. So as far as PAC protocol and the network and how much market activity is going on as far as actual trading volume, if that's a requirement that is expected to be met, that's not something that we can physically get involved in because legally it's just not allowed. So speaking for volume, we obviously push for products built on PAC to be used for their use cases, for the advantageous abilities that they bring versus maybe top leading products now. And you'll see that as we keep progressing with yanDNA, ties hand in hand with the ability to mint NFTs on our network fluidly and easily. So these are all things that you're obviously going to need PAC to interact in them. And that's our goal. Our goal is to build products that require you to obviously interact with the PAC network, which hopefully brings positivity to the overall market sentiment of the users. Because obviously we're not dull and not in disbelief or just don't understand of why people would want market activity. The reason why we push our products is because of their use cases. So they do go hand in hand, and that's something that the community, the users, it's our job to build products that are wanted and that need to be used. And so as we keep going and keep building these products and showing them to the world and taking them to the different people that we've been networking with, putting them in different people's faces, signing on new people that want to help bring it to other people, we will continue to grow. And I think that's been seen. A lot of people in the community are really amazing at not really just like paying attention, like directly. How should I word this? A lot of people in the community are really good at not letting market sentiment influence the fact that we're continuing to work at a really high pace, continuing to put out things, continuing to improve ourselves, etc. And as we keep going, it's just been nothing but a blessing to be a part of a community that's continually supporting us. And I know Yan can say the same thing on that. So that's enough for the exchange, and we will continue on with the testnet. B Sharp, can you go over pending updates, fixes that are being worked on as of now? Please and thank you. Yes, one of the main core fixes that we are currently working on for the testnet update is currently each block is only allowing one NFT to be minted at a time. So obviously that's not like going to be a crazy impact on a testnet situation where you don't have thousands of different people doing things at once. But obviously that's not something that's supposed to be in the mainnet launch. So that is one of the core bugs that is being focused on, so that multiple NFTs can be minted within the same block. And then as we keep moving forward, if that stirs up a different bug just because of the changes, that's what this testnet is for. So other than that, those are some of the things that we're working on. And Yan Dev, you can also comment on that if you're able. if I miss something on what are the current things that we're trying to update or fix within yanSAFE and this testnet. Yes, thank you, Yan. Yes, Daniel, we are currently working on the website. We did change up who our designer was working on that just because of the time zone difference from where they were and where we were is just a little bit too hectic, trying to keep up with what we wanted in expectation and not putting too much pressure on the other side. So we have changed who our designer is for this website, and they're going to be continually working with Yan and our vision for what we want it to look, what we want it to be. Hello, Adonis Crypto. Your comment, I must say that I like how Yan updates the testnet in a timely manner, fix bugs, and improve the overall performance. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Yan does a great job. I do want to point out, not taking anything away from Yan, but we also have an amazing developer that's behind the scenes, doesn't really pop his head out into the community, doesn't make him a bad guy. He just likes to work, in his own pace, in his own fashion. Barry Style, he's a core developer here. He was the core developer that helped transition PAC protocol from proof of work to proof of stake. And continuing from then, he's very, very much involved in the token layer and the NFT implementation into PAC protocol. He's writing it custom from him, and Yan is being able to interpretate that into the great UI that you see. Obviously, that coalition there, both are a part of both sides of it, helping each other out as we go. But I do want to just make sure, because I know a lot of people may not notice that Barry Style is one of the core developers here, but he definitely is. So shout out to him as well. Damian Hayes, there is a testnet registration. I'm not sure if we've kept it open still. I believe it is, though. So if you join our Discord or follow our Twitter, you'll find some of the instructions on how you can participate in the testnet. Essentially, you just fill out a questionnaire and you'll be contacted. So those that are in the chat here, I'm going to post this to link. I know it's a Discord link, but it's a Discord link that has an attachment, and this is a screenshot with, you'll immediately notice that the screenshot of this, the UI, the colors are obviously the original colors for PAC protocol. So the testnet version of yanSAFE right now is orange scheme, but Yan was able to change this screenshot to the blue theme so that you guys would be able to see what it's going to look like in real release once it hits mainnet. Wonder why I can't share my screen. I really thought I could. Anyways, so again, I do appreciate everyone that's getting involved in testnet. Again, those that may have not seen all the pictures, or like, just if you're not participating in it and you're not able to see like, hey, what's going on? Like, where am I at? Where's the channel for it? There's a channel for the testers within the Discord. So that's primarily where a lot of them are posting their pictures or sharing it. Another place that you can go is the PAC protocol development Twitter account that Yan made a couple weeks ago. And he made that specifically so in this event that we can start sharing screenshots of our progress through testnet, so people are just aware of what's happening and can even get involved at any stage. Okay, well, we'll leave it at that. We definitely have something in mind, CloudX. We've been discussing it as far as collections go, how it's going to be represented on the blockchain, and then how you can organize it within a couple of steps, yanDNA and also yanSAFE. Those are both that are correlated. As we move in, in through testnet and out of it into mainnet, it'll start becoming more clear why yanDNA was introduced first, so that it can be a place for NFTs that are minted on the PAC protocol to immediately be pulled upon. So those that are in the testnet, you probably already have seen that a bit, because when you go to look at the details for NFTs that you're minting, it'll show you the metadata gateway IPFS, and it's the yanDNA.io, it's the yanDNA platform. So it's already being built in this way to interact with yanDNA, and I just wanted to make sure I pointed that out, because it's kind of important, just so that you have that education of why we took those steps. Okay, I'll read out what Yan has said here in response to that question. I'll reread the question. Is it possible to mint an entire collection, JPEGs plus GIFs? That way you would know which NFTs belong together, which could be interesting for collectors. I think nothing can be sorted at the moment. Yan's reply to this, but there is something which I had in mind. I'm working on it, but most likely, if you want to mint NFT as collection with different NFT settings, you would have to go either expert mode or by using core RPC functionality. But in metadata, I'll develop something which can somehow detect it to which NFTs belong to which collection. RPC, HTTP request for developers. So um, that's Yan's answer as far as that question goes. I think you all notice as we keep going that, like, not that we're not doing it, but the community itself, individuals, like, you'll start thinking of features and ideas that may just don't exist yet, but could. And you could be the first one to think about it, because you gotta understand this is completely new for our network, but also NFT universe industry is very very new, and blockchain itself is still very new. So there's still all these different use cases becoming out of NFT use, not just for art and collection, but Yen started a conversation with me, brought up, I think he's even brought it up in here a couple times or in just discussions, in the community, but um, NFTs could be used for contracts, expirations, etc. And like VPS server rentals, I think was the example that he may have spoken about. But that's just one use case. There's a plethora of other ways that it could be used. It's not just art and collections, but it's really just to be able to verify ownership of something. So if you really just think about that core feature, verifying ownership, yes, the original way I guess it's been introduced is art and collections, which is great, but verifying ownership is applied basically in anything. Um, I mean, I'm curious, not something that I'm like focused on to like search out and find a solution for at this moment. But I'm curious of when NFTs will be used to be a notary, because in reality, a notary is just a verification of something that is occurring. So that's an idea in itself that could eventually come to fruition in this industry. So there's a lot of ideas with NFTs and how it can be used, how it can be presented in a console. Keep the ideas coming. And if you see something that you want to do or want to implement, by all means, either go out and do it yourself if you have the ability to, or share it with us. We're always here willing to take in ideas from the community. Yeah, mineral rights. Yeah, exactly. That's another great idea as far as use case goes with NFTs, and I'm pretty sure that's already being implemented. I think it is. One use of a smart contract that I was super impressed with. I don't think it was an NFT, but it was a smart contract. But I think they've transitioned it into being NFTs now, because this is a couple years ago. But essentially the exact same use is what we were talking about, verifying ownership, but also verifying authentication of something, that it's actually real. And what I mean by that, the example, I don't remember the company. If I did, I would definitely say it. I forget. But what they did was they incorporated blockchain technology to be like on a QR code, which was a smart contract. And like I said, I think it's transitioned now to where they're NFTs, which is, there's differences, but we'll just stick with that for this example. Um, they would put it on baby food, and the baby food was like, it was stamped with that at the very beginning of manufacture, or I'm sorry, once it was packaged, right? So that it was 100% verified that it came from this plant, this date, this time, was on the metadata. So it was actually pretty successful. And the reason I don't remember the company name is they got acquired and now they're different, and I just forgot. But that's just a use case that just goes right on top of verifying ownership. It can come downright to food, logistics, uh, inventory control. We've talked about those things, and those are not things lost on our list. It's just making sure the network gets to that point of being able to provide all those tools for those use cases to actually work. That's where we're at here, making sure that it works. Damian Hayes asks, can we store or host our crypto domains on yanSAFE? Well, not yet, but I'm going to read you Yan's reply. As for currently, yanSAFE doesn't support that directly, but since NFTs hold the metadata, you can even add your own custom data. It's certainly possible doing this. So there's your answer as far as what is possible and just what we don't have incorporated yet. Going back to what I said, many features, many abilities, and we could tackle them all, but time is the one essence that we have to fight against. time, work, budget. We got to make sure that we can do what we can do now to be able to do what we want to do later. Okay. Well, I did want to ask before I cut this seminar short, if anyone had any more questions specific about testnet or wanted to share their experience about their testnet experience, or any questions they may have. I know there's been some having some issues, maybe syncing, etc. Again, the number one core bug that we're focusing on to update to continue testing that along in a more smooth fashion is one token, one NFT or token per block is only being allowed at current. So that's being focused. So that's obviously not really reasonable and not a nice form for a network, not for a one NFT per block. That's not what we want. So that's our main bug that we're sorting on fixing right now. But any other questions as regards to that? MTC asked a few asked in the AMA chat if you could elaborate on possible future connection to yanDNA possibly serving as a marketplace in the future. So that is the other side of, man, my nose is just, sorry. I hate doing that. That is the other side of like actually what we're, you know, we have multiple groups, multiple developers working on different things. There's some things that we're working on strictly like business to business. Us as a development company are working on something that we were asked to work on. That's obviously how do we fund what we want to do for PAC. Well, we also have to, we have jobs too. So anyways, long story short, that's something that we're greatly interested in because, for us to build the ability for NFTs to be minted on PAC protocol, absolutely there needs to be a marketplace, some sort, search engine, whatever, that is specifically built for PAC protocol. To be able to list your NFTs on a marketplace like OpenSea or other things like that, that is being incorporated in with the bridge that we've been discussing. Wrapping PAC, being able to wrap your NFT to put it on a different chain if you wanted to. These things all tie together. It's just unfortunately we do not have the bandwidth to do all those things at the exact same time. So we have to prioritize what we want to complete first before we can move on. But a marketplace specifically for PAC Protocols Network is 100% something that we're focused on. And currently, we're actually in the middle of, developing our own architecture for how a marketplace should work in a secure environment, making sure that all the exploits that currently, not currently, but have happened on current marketplaces do not occur on the infrastructure that we want to build. So we think ahead. We think ahead, but we have to stay. We can't think too far ahead because then we'll distract ourselves, and the things that we're supposed to be getting done now, they start getting like, what's that word when you're uh, doing everything else except what you're supposed to be doing. I forget. Procrastinating. So yeah, like if you start thinking too far ahead, the things that you're supposed to be doing now, you start procrastinating on accident, just out of pure excitement or just wanting to, we got to do everything all at once. Well, if you try to do everything all at once, it'll take years for that one thing that was all combined together to get done. And I know that might sound silly, or maybe I didn't explain that correctly, but that's why we have to prioritize what products that we push forward at the right moment, because we have built this, foundation on PAC Protocols Network to be an inner ecosystem, everything by choice, anything by, you want to run a master node, you can do so. Here's your product to do it. We made it as easy as possible. But if you want to take it into expert mode, you absolutely can do that, But our goal is to make things easy, but all within the same ecosystem. So we have yanSAFE, obviously that was a huge success with the amount of master nodes that have instantly deployed on the network once it became an easy thing to do. And then you have the PAC app where, you saw how the UI, the ability to have a PAC tag instead of a, goofy long address, it's just more appeasing. You could compare that to similar comparison to Cash App and how they have their tag system instead of having to, get someone's bank info or, entire email address. It's just a lot more easier on your eyes and user friendly, right? So we saw how the PAC app got a lot of, praise for the designs that Yan was able to bring to the table, based off the vision that we gave. And a lot of features have come strictly from Yan, because of the different ideas that he's brought into the table. So those apps, they tie together. When we start talking about yanSAFE, you could see the correlation between PAC app and yanSAFE. And eventually, we want to add the PAC tag system into yanSAFE so that those correlate. We could literally give out 5 pages probably of like just the different ideas me and Yan talk about, not even just in direct message, but the ones that the team talks about when I'm not even there. And they're all amazing ideas. But see, that's what I'm just getting to that point of, we have to prioritize those ideas. That's my number one job here, is to make sure that we're prioritizing what we need to get done, so that when we want to add those cool features, we're in a good spot to do it. And so we appreciate all your guys' support. We have to go at the pace that we have to go at. That's not a bad thing. That's just us being human. And we're very proud of where we're at with this test net. I'm very proud of how the UI has come out. Even with the little bugs that keep popping up and making it slightly more, not as user friendly as we want it to be, or not as that's not the word I'm thinking of. Not as optimal as what I was thinking of, such as that one NFT per block bug right now. We obviously don't want that. So that's a priority that we want to make sure it's fixed. And moving forward, we have other bugs that have been brought up in the past, just in the current network, such as super blocks. Can super blocks be voted on? Yes, the answer is yes. Can you create a proposal on the super block? Yes. Is there a UI option to do that in yanSAFE? Unfortunately, no. So maybe that's another feature that we focus on, so that the proposals can start getting more eyeballs, because the proposals can still be seen within the network. I'm not saying you can't see them. Within the legacy wallet, they can be voted on. I mean, that's how they have been voted on in the past, because yanSAFE has never had the opportunity to show it. So there's just different improvements that we can do across the board. The quorums, making sure that the quorums are being checked properly, the POS score system is working properly, and you have to understand addressing those bugs and then bringing it over to a brand new, not a brand new, but a um, brand new addition to the PAC protocol network with NFTs and the token layer. That's something that we haven't even really discussed at a very in-depth way. The token layer. You have the NFT part of it, but the token layer, how is that going to operate? How are people going to be able to create their own token? Well, we've had some pretty interesting discussions about that and how it's going to operate on PAC protocol. And I think a lot of you are going to be very pleased with it, as far as the ratio of PAC to new token. So far in the current build of how testnet is going, is that it's a 1-to-1 ratio. If you were to create your own token, you have to have the 1-to-1 ratio in PAC. So the best way I can explain this, to make this the most easiest way to understand it, is if you're familiar with how you create a proposal to the network for the masternodes to vote on it for the super block. And if you're not, you can go on our website, and within the light paper, you'll find a segment on it talking about how and what happens. But the fee to do that costs 100,000 PAC. And that fee doesn't go to an individual. It doesn't go to a miner, or, well, there's no mining, but you understand the point. No proof of stake, no masternodes. That 100,000 PAC essentially is burned to the network. It's paid to the network to make sure that proposal was put on the network and all the data. So that's the price for it. So when you're doing that, those coins are gone, like gone because you spent them to create a proposal. The point I'm making in the token layer is that if you were to create a token, it's not the same command setup, but it's essentially the same process as the PAC that you use gets turned into a different token. Supply is 1-to-1, and that supply is now a different token for, assumably, a use case that is going to be created by its owner. So it's pretty neat to understand the way that we've developed that in our current stage of testnet, so that our idea of this is if someone wants to make a token on PAC protocol, and they want it to be, let's just use the example of the supply of Bitcoin, right? Well, that's 21 million. They would need to have 21 million PAC. How would they do that? Well, they have to either acquire it somehow, or they could send a proposal to the network to discuss their project, what they want to do, what the token supply is, what they're going to do with it. Just like how I guess projects launched, back in the day. But this way, it's a more secure for those that want to participate in a new token, knowing that it was a 1-to-1 ratio, in my opinion, that they had to put skin in the game, so to speak, so that they were able to create their own project and create their own ticker and create their own coin supply and presumably their own use case. So it's interesting to think about that and just understand that every addition that we bring to this network is to bring a use case to PAC. So um, again, we appreciate everyone participating in the testnet. I personally appreciate everyone that continues to discuss these things in our chats, in our communities, Discord, Twitter, anywhere else. It's just nice to see that energy continue to flow. So that's all I have for today. I appreciate you guys being here. That question right there, specific time frame for shooting to launch to mainnet, end of Q2. We're not specifically end of Q2, but obviously we're in Q2 now. So our goal is, definitely within sometime Q2. I definitely don't want it to be stretching out to the end of Q2, but at the end of the day, we have a lot of, we have a lot of things and a lot of moving parts in the test net. So could be a lot sooner and or could be, towards the end of Q2. But regardless, that is our goal. So I appreciate you guys stopping by, and we'll talk to you guys again another time. Have a good one.